Hello, my beautiful angels, and welcome to or welcome back to my channel. This is my podcast, Up in the Clouds. Happy New Year to you guys. I hope you guys have been having a good year so far. That was corny, I'm sorry. But yes, I do hope that everything has been going good so far. I hope you guys had a good holiday. I hope that, everything you guys wanted, you got for Christmas, and I hope that you had a good New Year's or whatever, and that it started your year off on a good note. And I hope this first week of the new year has been good for you, as as good as it can be. Obviously, you can't judge it off the first week, hopefully. My Christmas was okay. My New Year's wasn't that great. I got a little sick after Christmas, just a cold. And I was just starting to feel better when it was New Year's, and I was like, I really don't want to get sick again, and it was really shitty outside, the weather, so I ended up not doing anything, and I ended up just staying home by myself and ordered a pizza and watched some movies, and it was really nice and really just kind of relaxing. And I was a little having FOMO, but then at the same time I was whatever. I was fine when it came down to it, because I'm trying to get better at taking time for myself, and especially my health, and especially right now when everyone's getting sick and with the cold weather and stuff. So at least here in Wisconsin, cold weather. So yeah, really kind of taking time for myself and my health. That's kind of one of the goals that I have for this year, is just not overdoing it, not over pushing myself, because I kind of really got caught up last year in just distractions and not healthy ones, and just kind of distracting myself from what I felt. So then when I was alone, I would feel everything so intensely. And so that's just one of my goals for this year, is to kind of not do that, and to really kind of deal with the things that I'm going through, and not just use distractions as a whatever, to not think about it, and then fall back on me when I'm completely alone, and then I just feel everything, and then I don't know what to do with all these emotions, and then I just kind of lose it. Not really lose it, but break down. And so my goal for this year was to kind of find a healthy balance between distracting myself, so that I'm not constantly layering in my thoughts, and then also deal with things that I'm going through and not push them away. Because when we push things away and we don't deal with things, then it just kind of gets worse the longer we prolong the healing process. So that's kind of what today's episode is going to be about, is kind of putting your healthy distractions, and basically kind of how to navigate through healing. Everybody's got to heal from something. We're all going through something, whether that be a death, a loss of a breakup, losing a friend, a fight with family members, whatever. We're always dealing with something. And so when we're navigating that healing process, the way that we handle the healing is sort of how when it's going to get better, basically. Because if we start working on healing ourselves right away, then we can really kind of, see the light at the end of the tunnel a lot sooner, because we're navigating through the healing. When we're just pushing things away and we're using distractions and we're not dealing with the things that we're going through, it's going to be very similar to kind of what I was experiencing, is that we're going to end up being when we are alone, because there has to be a time where you're going to be alone. If you're never alone, that's also probably an unhealthy boundary that you need to kind of figure out within yourself, because then when you are alone, everything hits and you get really stuck in your thoughts, and then you kind of end up spiraling. And we don't want that to happen, because then that's going to push the healing process back even more, because then we're feeling negative feelings about things that are going on, which is it is okay to feel negative things, don't get me wrong, but at the same time, we can't be sitting in those negative thoughts. We can't be constantly putting ourselves through the overthinking, through the anxiety, through the negativity. We have to try to keep those. That's why there is a healthy way to distract yourself. picking up more hours at work, but not too much where you're like completely like exhausted and have no energy to do things with people. Finding plans, you know, things to do, go somewhere new, you know, go to a museum, find a friend that wants to go to a museum with you, or like go by yourself. People are so afraid to do things by themselves, and like, and it's crazy because I have like really bad social anxiety. So like but sometimes I like to do things by myself. I like to go to movies by myself. I like to get food by myself. Like I will like do things by myself, and some people are just like so shocked about that. They're like, well, don't you have anxiety? And it's like, I don't know, for some reason sometimes like being alone and being by myself really kind of like teaches me like independence and not to be codependent on people, because I've always kind of been really codependent on people, not just in a relationship aspect but friends wise as well. So I've just always like been trying to like be more independent from people and do things by myself, so I feel more comfortable being alone. Because when it comes down to it, the root kind of that is like, if you don't feel comfortable doing things alone, usually you're not comfortable with yourself. And that's not always true, but a lot of the times when the people that I know who don't like being alone are people who don't like themselves or don't really like being alone with themselves, because they either get stuck in their thoughts or they think too much. And I completely understand that, but we also have to recognize the importance of being able to be independent, because if you're codependent on somebody, that's kind of gonna really, you know, with the relationship specifically, is, you know, relationships in general, friendships, like I just mean any kind of relationships, intimate friendship relationships, you know, whatever. If you're a really codependent person, usually that kind of like, you don't learn independence, and then you kind of are always depending on someone else to make things better for you. And that's, at the end of the day, you are your own person. You can't put all of that pressure on one person to really kind of make you happy, or really kind of fill that void that's within yourself that you're depending on them for. And that is like why it's super important to feel comfortable with yourself and in your own skin. And that's like when you go through something that you have to heal from, the importance of healing through that, you know. And I will always say this in every one of my episodes, like I am preaching to the fucking choir here, because I'm talking to myself too, because I'm getting better now. I was extremely codependent on people, like way too much, and just needed to be, I never could be alone. I hated being alone. And then when I was not really, like I didn't really have a choice, to be honest. I had to live alone. And it was kind of really honestly a blessing in disguise, because it really taught me how to be more independent, like when I was living alone. Obviously I had my cat, so I wasn't completely alone, but I didn't have another person obviously living with me. So it was like, it really did teach me independence, and it really taught me to be more dependent on myself and less dependent on other people, because I only had myself, you know. And so I feel like whenever I, you know, like right now I'm living with a roommate, and I feel like I kind of go backwards, like when I live with a roommate, rather than myself, because I feel like when I'm living by myself, I'm definitely more independent for some reason. Just because I don't really have a choice, honestly. But like I said, I've been trying to like do things that are like, you know, less dependent on other people, try to be less dependent on things. And so learning independence is a big part of the healing process as well, especially if you've kind of always struggled with being codependent on other people, and you're kind of like, life revolves around other people, and your happiness revolves around other people. Learning independence, I keep wanting to say codependence. Learning independence kind of can really teach you, it's kind of like a healing in itself, you know. You're healing that codependent person within yourself, wherever that started, you know, whether that started in childhood or from childhood, or it stemmed from something that happened in your childhood, you know, whatever it is. Or maybe you got into a really bad relationship, and the person kind of like, that's where mine stemmed from, you know. Like mine stemmed from childhood as well, but a lot of my codependency issues started when I was in an abusive relationship, because I was like forced to only really depend on him. Like he pushed everyone out of my life, and I didn't have anyone but him, really. And so I became so dependent on him, because he was the only person that I had. Like I didn't have any other friends or even family, because my family hated him. They did not want me to be with him. And the people that I used to hang out with didn't want to hang out with me anymore because they saw how horrible he was to me. But in my head, I was just like, no, like, he loves me. Like, this is just his way of expressing love. And God, I felt like such an idiot now, like, thinking about, like, the way that I defended him and, you know, whatever. But I have moved on. I've healed from that relationship. But that's where I feel like a lot of my codependency kind of, like, arrive from, because that's like kind of like the point of abusive relationships, is that they want you to be alone. They want to be the only person that you depend on. They want to be the main center of your life, because then they have full control over you. And that's something that I needed to heal from, because I kind of knew that a lot of my codependency kind of stemmed from that. And yeah, so that's like where I learned. And then so yeah, learning independency, especially if you are coming from an abusive relationship, and you've kind of really were forced to always be around that person, because if you're not with them, they think you're gonna fucking cheat on you. And that's just how it was, you know. It's like a trauma bond, almost like a dependency on them, because you didn't know like really what was going on, and you're just kind of like lost in the manipulation or whatever. And yeah, so learning dependency after struggling with like codependency and struggling with being independent, like learning independence kind of is a good healing process, especially like if you don't really like to be alone. That's kind of like a way to really heal that part of yourself and really learn to feel comfortable with yourself, because when you feel comfortable with yourself, then you can kind of be your full authentic self with other people and have better relationships, better friendships, you know, whatever. Healthy distractions. So I kind of briefly touched on it, like working, you know, maybe getting a second job if you already have a job, or maybe just picking up some more hours at work, but in a healthy amount, like not going overboard and working every single day so you have no like time to yourself, because that also kind of gives me anxiety. Like if I'm working a shit ton and I don't have like time for myself and time for my friends, like I kind of get really like anxious about that. And I don't really like that. So like a healthy amount of working. And then when you're not working, finding a hobby, you know, finding something that lights your soul on fire, something you're passionate about, and really kind of using that, like when you have your free time, to do those things that you love so much, you know, whether, you know, that could be literally anything. That could just be reading a book. Maybe you love reading, so reading a book, or like challenging yourself to like a certain amount of books every month that you're gonna read, or whatever. My hobby that I've been kind of picking back up on is singing. I used to sing like all the fucking time, and I want to start like building my like lungs back again, because like if you kind of like don't really sing, like I was singing like very often, very frequently, constantly recording myself singing, and then I kind of like fell off on that for a while, and I kind of have to rebuild my lungs again, because like I used to be able to hit notes that I can't really hit anymore. So it's just kind of like rebuilding my vocal cords and kind of like reworking them again. So I can be able to like record myself and be able to post it places, because with, you know, who knows? Yeah, so whatever. That's one of my hobbies I'm trying to pick back up into again. And obviously this podcast, and I kind of want to expand on the channel and make more video ideas of, you know, things, and kind of really get better at that, posting aside from just this podcast, and kind of building up my brand and my channel, and also finishing my life course certification that I've been working on for a while, because it's just kind of like a course that you buy and kind of can do leisurely at your own pace. So I want to finish that, and then kind of really start to like build up like a business plan for like my life coaching and stuff. So that's kind of like the hobbies that I'm really focused on. And so finding something that like lights your passion, you know. Music is a big one of mine too. I like to attend a lot of concerts, because I like to be really like in the moment and in the feelings, and I just love music. Like music just like makes me so fucking happy, and it's definitely just like, I can't even describe it. Like when I'm in an environment where there is like music and like live music, I just feel so just happy, and it's crazy. So music too is a big hobby of mine, and just finding something that like that makes you feel like that, finding that one spark that just like makes your whole world feel better, you know, and you feel better specifically. And like healthy distractions, like, you know, that's like a big thing that can like help with healing as well, is like, because you don't want to, like, as much as you know, you need to be able to be with yourself alone, you don't want to be too much as well. You got to find like a healthy balance, because when you're alone too much, you kind of sit and wallow in your thoughts, and you sit there and overthink. At least I do. Not everyone, but when I'm alone and I'm really like not in a good headspace to be alone, I just like overthink, and then I just kind of like overthink the craziest scenarios, and then I just kind of like ruin my whole mood and ruin my whole like day. I can ruin my whole day with literally my thoughts, and it's fucked up, and it's so annoying too, because I like wish my brain like wouldn't work like that. And that's something that I'm learning how to heal from my brain, that I've been doing. Actually, that's also something I want to share, so we'll kind of get into that. But I've been like trying to train my brain to like not overthinking, and learning like healthy distractions, and not like unhealthy distractions, you know, like using my phone or social media or like whatever, because that's like an unhealthy distraction, I feel like. And because that can create more anxiety sometimes, being on your phone and being on social media and looking through things or whatever. And yeah, so what I've been kind of doing to kind of help my anxiety and my depression and my overthinking, because my seasonal depression, like I kind of mentioned in the last video, has been kicking my fucking ass. Like getting out of bed every fucking day has been so hard. And you know, I've been kind of looking into more natural methods, because I had some bad experiences with medication, and I used to have an addiction to anxiety medication that I just don't want to really kind of go down that path again, or even like risk going down. So I started microdosing on shrooms. I every like 3 or 4 days, I take like a little, like literally the tiniest bit of like a mushroom, and then I don't know, I've been doing it for like 2 weeks now, and I really don't know if it's just kind of like in my head or if it's actually, but I really do feel so much better. I feel physically a lot better. It's a lot easier to get out of bed in the morning, and it's just kind of like, I just feel like I'm a breath of fresh air. I don't know, I feel so much better like since I started doing it, and I really do feel a difference. So if you kind of want some more information on that, like hit me up. I had like one of my coworkers tell me about their experiences with it, and that's kind of like when I started to do it. And yeah, so I don't know, I would love to kind of go more into depth with you guys if you are interested in hearing about that, and kind of like you know, more in depth what I've been feeling, and like the differences that I've been feeling, and like kind of like helping with the overthinking and whatnot. So yeah, if you're interested in that, let me know and we can talk about it more. But yeah, that's something that I've been doing to kind of really heal. That's like a nature-y way to heal, besides just you know, going to medication. And yeah, so it's just kind of, obviously I know with the like winter, especially us Midwesterners, this is a really, really hard time of year for a lot of people. And a lot, you know, and especially it already is a hard time of year, you know, in general, because there's less sunlight and blah, blah, blah. And not only that, it's cold, it's not fun to be outside, there's less to do in the winter, especially if you live in, you know, a state that gets snow and gets cold. There's kind of really like less to do in the winter time, so it's not as like hectic and fun as like the summer is. And it's just like a really, really hard time of year for a lot of people, and especially like it already is, and then especially if you're going through something on top of that, like if you have your own struggles or whatever that you're going through on top of, you know, the already like hard time, then that can be like even harder. So, you know, my heart is with all of you who kind of are feeling like what I'm feeling, and really struggling with the winter and the season change, and just like if you're going through stuff on top of all of that, just kind of like piling on, and just feels like a lot right now. And I know that, trust me, I really do understand, and I really do feel for all of you so much, because I wish I could just take everyone's like pain away and like and then me deal with it, because I hate seeing people sad or hurt or in pain. It really just affects me so much, and it makes me so sad and makes me in pain, because I hate seeing people in pain. So I just wish I could take everyone's pain away and kind of just like transmute it into light or something. I don't know, just like take everyone's pain away, because it just makes me so sad when I see people hurt or sad or in pain or just dealing with stuff. And I just wish I could just like just suck it away from them, so that I can just take it on and just me be miserable. No, that's really bad. But yeah, I don't know. I do feel for you guys, and you just know that you are never really alone. Learning how to lean on people, learning how to like talk to people when you're going through it. Obviously, therapy is not an option for everyone. But, if you have that option, definitely take it. It's definitely a good route. If you really like don't feel like you have anyone in your life that you trust, or maybe you struggle to trust people, so that's you don't feel comfortable enough to talk to people about anything, but just know that there are people out there who are willing to listen. And if you're listening to this, I'm willing to listen for you and willing to be there for you. So just know that you always have someone there if you feel like you don't have anyone. And just try not to isolate yourself from people too much. Separate yourself from unhealthy people and unhealthy behaviors, for sure, especially if you're going through a hard time. Drug use, alcohol, limiting that, especially when you're going through a really difficult time, because it's just going to kind of make it worse. Like it really is. Like, you might be distracted from the thoughts of it in the moment, but when the moment's over, you really kind of feel everything again. And in my case, it's always like 10 times worse than what I would have felt if I didn't partake in those things, So just kind of like being mindful of like who you are spending your time around, and making sure you are spending it with people who care about your well-being, and people who know you're going through a hard time too. Because when you're hanging around people who have no idea what's going on in your life, I feel like that also kind of like makes it worse. And then you kind of get drunk, and then you kind of like overshare, and you don't really want to, because you just kind of feel comfortable enough to talk about things. And then you're with people who don't really give a fuck, So it's just like, you don't want to share what's going on to people who don't really fucking care, because it's just not a good experience, and you never kind of get the response that you kind of need in that moment. So it's just kind of, it feels just like a waste of time, to be honest. Yeah, in my opinion. Not always, but when I feel like I get into that place where I overshare with people who don't really kind of like know how to like, who don't have any problems in their lives at all, and they don't even like know what it's like to have any sort of mental illness or struggles or anything, you just kind of feel defeated, and you're like, fuck, why did I like let myself open up to someone who doesn't really care, and doesn't care to understand like what I'm going through, and they just are trying to have a good time, and I'm bringing down the mood, So it's just like being mindful of who you're spending your time with, and who you're really kind of putting your trust into, like talking about it. But you have to talk about it. You have to be like open with people. There has to be someone in your life that you trust enough to really kind of be there for you whenever you are going through a hard time. And because our whole life is built on connections and other people, and while it's important to feel comfortable within yourself, you also have to feel comfortable within your relationships. And if you feel like you don't have anyone in your life that you can talk to about anything, maybe it's time to reevaluate the relationships you have in your life as well. Because if you don't have anyone that you feel like you can like be like, yo, I'm not doing too good right now, like, can I talk to you about something that's going on in my life? If you don't feel like you have anyone in your life that you trust enough to talk to about that, that's kind of like, maybe like you need to really kind of, I don't want to be like get better friends, but also like reevaluate like who you're spending your time with, and really kind of try to find like some true genuine people to like add to your circle. Because I definitely have like the party friends that I don't really tell anything to, and I definitely have like those close friends that I can party with and tell things to, and then I have like those close friends that like I don't see very often, that I like just can talk to whenever if I'm going through a hard time. And you have to have that. You have to have genuine people in your life that can really be there for you when you're going through a hard time, because otherwise you're just going to feel so much more alone, and it's going to feel so much worse than, you know, being able to like lean on people, because it's important to like lean on people and let people into your life and into your space, and really kind of let people help you through healing. And especially, you know, if you are going through a hard time, it does really help to have a shoulder to lean on or whatever. But yeah, so that's kind of what I really wanted to talk to you guys about today is, you know, if you are struggling with seasonal depression or just depression in general, like maybe you have it all the time, and it just gets worse in the winter, or maybe you've never felt anything like this and you really don't like know, you know, what to do, like reach out to people, reach out to me if you really want to. And yeah, just know that I'm here for you if you feel like you don't have anyone else. Everything is linked below. All my socials, my DMs are always open. I might not get back to you right away, but I'll get back to you as soon as I can. I'm just like not really the best at responding a lot. Just kind of like overwhelms me sometimes. But like if it's important, I will, you know, push aside whatever to kind of, you know, put people first, I guess. I don't know. It's really weird. I'm not like always like a terrible responder. It's just sometimes like when I'm going through a difficult time, I don't like to really talk to outsider people. Like I have my main group of people that I respond to, and then it's like I have like the outsider people that it's like, meh, whatever. Whatever, that sounds bad, but not a priority, you know. I'll get back to you when I can. But yeah, so yeah, I'm gonna end on there. On that note. But yeah, I do, you know, I'm sending so much love and so much light to all of you who are going through a hard time right now, you know, and whatever is going on. And Oliver came to say hello. Whatever is going on with your life, and I'm sending so much love to you, and just know that you always have someone to lean on, whether that's, you know, me or you, or just find those healthy distractions and keep yourself busy, but also take the time to really reflect on what you're going to do to kind of really heal from the things that you've been through, you know, because healing is important. And if we don't heal, we just continue the cycles, and we continue to bring on those cycles into our lives until we do heal from it. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to this today. I love you guys so much, and I hope you have an amazing rest of your week. And I will see you guys probably on Wednesday, because Wednesday is Abby's death anniversary, so I feel like I'm definitely going to probably do like a little episode about that, and just kind of like what's really I've been dealing with that, and just kind of really having a tough time with that. I always kind of really do. The death anniversary is just nothing that's really like her birthday. I can try to make positive and things like that, but the death day is really kind of like the hard one to really kind of find a positive light for. So I might just like want to make an episode just to kind of feel better that day, because I know it's gonna be rough. So yeah, please send some love and light to me while I go through one of the hardest weeks of my life every year. So yeah, I love you guys so much, and I'm sending all that love and light back to you, and I hope you have a great week. I love you guys so much. Bye.